Radio Football Show with Scottish Gas. Watch live at 5 p.m. weekdays on YouTube. Join the conversation on 0808 17 17 700. Talking Scottish football first.
Good evening, this is Paul Cooney. Delighted to welcome you to a really special programme tonight. We've got two titans of Scottish football with us. You'll recognise the former players. Peter Grant, formerly Celtic and Scotland, and Kevin Kyle, formerly Rangers, Hearts, Kilmarnock and Scotland. Great to see both of you back here tonight.
Thank you very much, Paul.
Cheers, Paul.
And it's a different programme because here in the studio with us for the first time, a live audience, the most important people in football. Football without fans is nothing. Let's welcome the supporters who are joining us this evening live in the Go Radio studio. Welcome to the programme. Oh, that was a great wee show. Thank you. We're back. We're back tomorrow night with Barry. I think we're going to start with, so we've got representatives here of Hearts, top of the table, Celtic second top, Rangers third spot. At the other end, sorry to say, St Mirren, Falkirk, what a season for them. But I mean, St Mirren as well, you've got the trophy so far, the only one that's decided the League Cup. Falkirk, I mentioned, wow. Grant's here, Michael and Ian from Motherwell, Berto Askew. He's not manager of the year, but he's one that's certainly wanted. And the latest news that I hear is that Celtic are keen on Berto Askew. It's not definite, but he is the name being talked about at the moment most at Celtic Park. And Kieran's here from Edinburgh, from Hibs. Kieran, welcome to Scotland. How do the Hibs fans feel? It must be tough for them to be seeing their biggest rivals. So from Hearts, we've got Dale and Johnny are with us. We're going to come to you in a minute or two. Kevin, what's going to happen? And what happened to your old team Rangers on Monday? We won't go in big depth just now. We will, as a former striker. They had 3 on the second half and couldn't score. What do you think? Who's going to win the title?
I went to the game.
Right.
Managed to sneak in.
Where did you sit? Because you get bored.
Yeah. I know. I text Gary Locke looking for a ticket. He says he's not got any, but just come on up and I'll put you in the main door and we'll find a seat. So I found a seat with the wee man. He sat in my lap and thoroughly entertaining game. But after the game finished, for me, I find it very difficult to not sway towards Hearts winning this league because 1-0 down to Rangers at home, come back, claw it 2-1. Wouldn't say they were outstanding in terms of performance. But the reality of that result keeps them at the top. But what it does is it then allows Rangers to try and stop their greatest rivals on Sunday. So they'll be trying even harder than ever to not allow Celtic to win it, which then may help Hearts because they have a tricky tie on Saturday versus Motherwell. So if Hearts were to oversee Motherwell on Saturday and go 6 points clear with 2 games, potentially 6 points clear with 2 games to go, I think that's a big ask.
Dale, what's your reaction to that before we go to get Peter's verdict? You're a big Hearts fan.
I pretty much agree with Kevin, to be honest. I think we probably had the 2 hardest first games of the split, and we've came out of them fairly unscathed. We've had injuries, we still battle through it. I think the mentality of the team is showing it. We're probably going to go the distance, I think.
How did you feel at half time? Because the Rangers did dominate in the first half. What did you think?
I thought we were good for the first 5-10 minutes, and then Rangers got their goal. But I've seen a few pundits saying they dominated, but they controlled the game, but what chances did they really have to win it? No much really, so I wasn't that nervous. And before the history of the Hearts this season, coming from behind winning it, I wasn't that nervous. If they got the second goal then, I would have been. But they didn't look that great in that 30 minutes.
3 to go. Can Hearts do it? Peter, you were there, 40 years ago? Hard to believe. He still looks pretty young, doesn't he?
I don't think so.
Yeah. No, but you were there that day when Celtic, they came back. They won all the way to the end. We know the story. Hearts went to Dundee, those late goals, and Celtic thrashed St Mirren. Are Celtic going to come good this season?
I quite agree with Dale there. What Dale said, I think, after the result of the night, I don't think Rangers dominated. I think Rangers were too slow. I thought they made it comfortable for Hearts when Hearts weren't playing well. And I thought if Rangers get the second goal, I still thought Hearts would come back and get a draw. When they didn't get the second draw, I thought Hearts would come back and win it, and that's exactly the way it panned out. Because I thought Rangers, for me, they should have been more aggressive. They should have played forward much quicker. The centre-halves were passing the ball too much. We keep saying that about Celtic at times, but I thought Rangers done it again. And the only team they seem to go very aggressive against is Celtic. When they went to 2-0 up at Ibrox, they done the exact same with Dediri. and Chermiti up front. But when they don't play that way, I think they've got an arrogance about them. They think they're better than what they are. And I'd be telling the two centre-halves, play it forward, because it keeps them in their same defensive position as well. So I've got a sneaking suspicion if Hearts beat Motherwell on Saturday, I think it's going to be very difficult for Celtic, because you talked about 86, but you don't have Brian McClair and Mo Johnson playing for you. And that's the difference. We've been struggling to score the goals. And then it could come down to goal difference. And obviously Celtic have not scored enough goals at this moment in time.
And of course, it could have been less after last weekend. A few controversial decisions at the Hibs game. I'm looking at John, the Celtic fan. I assume that's your team. Either that or you're wearing a Sporting Lisbon top. John, what do you feel about it now after that at the weekend for your team?
Yeah, I thought it was a good result against Hibs. I thought we played all right. I thought there was a few contentious decisions in there to talk about. But I don't. For Celtic, I don't think you can say it's over till it's over. I still think there's goals all over the team. We've got players that can score. And Alistair Johnson,
who can score apart from Nygren?
Well, Maeda, obviously, and again, Alistair Johnson coming back into the team, putting balls across face is honestly, that's so important.
Scott, the Rangers fan. Scott, how are you feeling after the other night? Because there was so much attention on that game. So many people said, look, if Hearts can win the derby and then can beat Rangers, well, it's not home and dry, but because of the goal difference, how did you feel Monday night? Well, when you went 1-up, when Dujon Sterling scored, did you think this is on?
Yes, of course. I think we did dominate that half without creating the big chances that I would have liked to. It's so frustrating that we never scored that second goal, because I knew we've not got a 90-minute performance in us. It's not happened all season. And it didn't happen. And second half went exactly the way a lot of us feared. So angry and frustrated after that game on Monday, absolutely.
Is that mentality?
It's got to be. There's not enough Scots in that squad.
Yeah. There were none the other night. 16 players?
Barron was on the bench, but we never saw him. But that starting 11, I don't think they know what it takes to play for Rangers. And we're relying on an 18-year-old kid to actually break through. Yep. We don't have patterns of play, and it is just this individualism that we're relying on. And he's a kid, so we can't rely on him.
Greg Stewart said that last night. He doesn't know what the Rangers style is under the manager, Danny Rohl. Kevin, what do you feel?
I've got to agree with Dale there on the lack of Scottish players. Mm-hmm. People may think it's a thing that doesn't really matter, but having been in I think of the dressing room that I went to when I went to Hearts 2011, 10, 11, whatever it was. My first day, we had boxes, rondos. Mm-hmm. We had a box for foreigners, with a box for Scottish players. And I was like, what's going on here? So we've got Lithuanians, Russians, Belarusians, half the Soviet Union doing one box, and us for Scotland doing another box, right? And I was like, there's no unity here. Yeah. So I just jumped into their box, and Marius Zaliukas looked at me and said, what are you doing in here? I says, well, we're teammates, mate. And then we eventually come together. And you'll remember this, I don't know if you remember, I don't know what age you are, but we ended up that year at January, we were sitting second in between Celtic and Rangers in January. Yeah. We had more points then than Hearts did at this point. I got injured and that's when it just collapsed. That's the reality, right? But joking aside, we Scottish boys knew what it meant to play in Scotland and really had that aggression and desire to want to succeed. I don't believe that foreigners come to our games sometimes understand that. Sometimes they come here, and I would imagine this is you would never hear this from them, but they're coming here because it's potentially a stepping stone to something bigger, and it's also they pay more wages. So Celtic and Rangers are notorious for paying bang average players far too much money.
Did you hear the wage bill? The latest wage bill, it might be a couple of million out, okay? Celtic this year, or the last year, 73 million, I think it was. Rangers, 58 million. Hearts, 19 million. See, if you own your football clubs, you'd be saying, what's happening here? The money that's been absolutely wasted. Because they get huge amounts of money. So
that then proves the point is like there's players there that are getting paid far too much money and no producing the goods. And the reality is, on Saturday, you saw, I know this might be nothing, but Giga laughing and joking with one of the Hearts players.
What did you make of that?
Listen, if I'd saw that and I was his teammate, I'd have dragged them off the park and said, right, you in the changing room, we've just threw away the title here today. But they don't get that. So there needs to be that bit of passion, whereas you look at Hearts, they have a lot of foreigners as well, but Halkett, Finlay, Shankland, the core of their team are good, honest Scottish work completely. That ball get cut back. It wasn't supposed to come to Shankland. It got a deflection, the cut back. But Shankland's thinking, as that ball's cut back, this is my only opportunity I've got today. I've got to hit the target. And then what a finish. And that's the difference.
Scott, what would you say on that? The lack of, there's not even a Scottish spine. There was nobody on the pitch.
Absolutely. I mean, you mentioned Shankland. I mean, we should have signed him when we've had numerous chances over the years, especially last summer. He was going on a free. Barry Ferguson might have signed him if he'd got the job.
I think the deal was ready to be done.
But he never. But you've got Halkett and Shankland, two guys from a Rangers supporting background, and they're potentially going to win the league with another team.
It's bonkers.
Johnny, the Hearts fan, what are you thinking? Because Celtic disarray this season. Rangers maybe getting it right with Danny Rohl now, but he's lost this chance. All but mathematically, Rangers out of it. What are you thinking for Hearts for next season? I see Tony Bloom is ready. I'm not saying he's putting more money in just now. I see Derek McInnes saying he thinks that Tony Bloom and Hearts are ready to move on even further.
I think that's exactly the way it's going to go. Like, you look at the team, and we've signed players with analytics, but there's no actually that many of the players that have been playing in the team. A lot of the players are still on the bench. So, like, you're getting those players in, and they've had a wee bit of time to adjust. They've had 6 months or so to get them in. Like, you're talking Rogers Matto, who's come in. There was a wee bit of palaver with his transfer where we're going to get him in the summer. We got him now. He's not really had a sniff. So, like, we've already signed players for next season already. You've got McPake as well. Like,
of course, yeah.
I think
St.
Hearts
Johnson,
are only going to get stronger, and I think that's what a lot of people in Scottish football, especially Celtic and Rangers, are failing to realise at the minute.
I was going to give the phone number at this point, but of course we've got the live audience here tonight. I'm thinking to speak to Kieran if we can on the back rail there, the Hibs fan, because traditionally in Scotland you've got obviously Rangers, Celtic, Aberdeen, Hearts, Hibs. Now Hibs this season, how do you feel about it overall? Because you could come into the conversation if you can get a consistency.
That's it. It's the consistency is the problem. Start the season pushing a team who comfortably beat Celtic in the Europa League. Midtjylland took them to 118 minutes on extra time in the Europa League, to then go and beat Partizan Belgrade over 2 legs and get beat in extra time for Legia Warsaw. I think that tells the story of how the season started, and then we just lose the consistency going into that first quarter of the league season. It's just been up and down. I think part of it, a lot of people will be on Gray's back. Part of it is because how the other side of the city are doing.
And what does that feel like to you as a Hibs fan? keep it clean.
I was told not to swear
That's
before
right.
coming on.
Please don't.
Yeah, it's obviously difficult, but you need to look after your own games. Like the derby, for example, it was self-inflicted.
Yeah. I mean, what's that all about? 2 players sent off.
You're leading the derby.
Yeah.
If it was 11v11, you're taking at least a point for the game, the way the game is going. But if you look at the form, this is the business end of the season. If you look at the last 5 games, Hibs in 4 of the 5 games have had 1 shot on target. The only game that have had more than 1 shot on target was a 3-0 win against Kilmarnock, in which they only had 3 shots on target. Right. So to be at this end of the season, his second season in charge, to be at the business end of the season, and that's the numbers he's coming up with, questions will have to be asked.
And probably more investment as well. Martin Boyle, for example, is off shortly. You're sitting next to Grant, a big Falkirk fan, and of course Falkirk and Hibs meeting this weekend. Grant, for you, what are you feeling? Who do you think's the best team? Who do you think is going to win the league?
I think I can't see past Hearts, if I'm being honest. And if you have a look at Rangers and Celtic this season, any team in that league could beat them on their day. But Hearts have been the most consistent team. And that's why I think Hearts will probably just edge it.
Okay, we'll come back to you about Falkirk. We're going to talk St Mirren as well. Can we throw it to Ian and Michael, Motherwell fans who are there? Because everyone says it on this programme, everywhere. Motherwell will have a big hand in all of this. And you will have. You beat Rangers the other week. That started Rangers' downfall at the end. How are you feeling about the game with Hearts?
I just remember at the start of the season when we were 3-0 up against Hearts and threw it away a wee bit. But it's great to be in the mix, and we've got a say in the title, and I think we will have. Years gone by, you wouldn't have said that, but I think we definitely do have now. Beating the Old Firm, as a provincial supporter, there's nothing better than beating the Old Firm, and we've took quite a few points off them this year, so it's been fantastic to see. And the football's been really good quality as well. It's good to watch people not just tappy-tappy at the back, just pressing and playing expansive football. It's been excellent to
People
watch.
are loving it, aren't they?
Yeah.
Saying it's the best football to watch.
Yeah, well, I hope other teams do it because, in my opinion, a lot of the teams, like Falkirks, Hibs and Dundee's and Dundee United, they're all the same. And if you have 3 good results, then you climb up the table. If you have 3 bad ones, then you go down. So I hope other ones take our kind of mantle on that and start to do that as well and make it more interesting.
Michael's here as well. Michael's a young goalkeeper, professional goalkeeper. Who do you admire most in football? Who do you watch, Michael, to get inspiration from?
Well, it's obviously quite ironic because I'm a young goalkeeper and he's so old, but Craig Gordon, every time I watch him, he's unbelievable.
Yeah.
He'd be 41-year-old and
42, yeah.
The save he made was Dundee. I think that saves one Hearts League. Down to 10 men and he pulls a worldie out the bottom corner. For a 41-year-old goal to do that, it's incredible. So I think he's probably had the biggest say on Hearts win league, and he's 41.
If he's not fit for the World Cup, will you be ready? Is there any chance, Michael? What age are you? Because we might need you. How old are you?
I'm 18.
18. So is that your ambition one day to be the Scotland goalkeeper?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
Love it. We're going to come back to you. And the only person we haven't heard from so far is Robbie, our St Mirren fan. And Robbie, he's on a radio station in Paisley. So Robbie, don't be too good because, I'm still trying to eke out a living here. Robbie, it's been bonkers season for you.
I think you can look at it 2 ways. If you said to us at the start of the season we would have won a domestic cup for the first time in 12 years, I would have bit your hand off for it. If you then said to us we'd be fighting relegation just like we did back in 2013, I probably would have cried, to be honest. But yeah, it's been one of those seasons. I think it all depends on what happens in the next few games. If we stay up, magic. We've had a brilliant season. We've had our best manager, arguably ever, in the club. Obviously, he's left now, but if we stay up, it's a really, really successful season.
Stayed too long, though, in the sense that the Aberdeen chat was going on for a while, and Aberdeen didn't know what they were going to do. They were going to go for a foreign manager, and then, only a couple of months ago, they then went for Stephen Robinson. We'll speak more about St Mirren, of course, who, what a season, though, is in a way, Peter, isn't it? They're the only team at the moment with a trophy.
Yeah, it was really disappointing the way it ended up with Stevie Robinson because I agree, he's been outstanding for them. I think you're right, Paul. The Aberdeen chat was there for a long time. They just couldn't get a result. Against Celtic in the cup final, they were brilliant. They thoroughly deserved it. There was no argument about that in that particular match. And the actual went off and the game changed completely. But St Mirren won the game comfortably. And every time they've played Celtic this season, it's never been comfortable. And I've been every one of them, and it's Callum scored in the last kick, if you remember. But every game has near enough been like that. So they've made it difficult and very well organised. I don't think they get the credit at times for the way they played. Stevie played a certain style. And that, I think we're talking about Motherwell, but Motherwell do both. Motherwell will try and play, but they know when to go long. They mix it a little bit, and that's what I like about Motherwell more than anything else. And that's why I kept saying to you, for me, there is absolutely no doubt the Motherwell manager is the coach of the year. And there is whoever wins the league deserves to be the manager of the year. But he's definitely been the coach of the year, the way his team play.
So Derek McInnes named today as the Glens Manager of the Year. He won the PFA award, and we'll find out a week on Sunday, which by then we'll know exactly who it is going to be. I don't know if they're going to do a text on the day to the journalists. I think they should these days because, if Derek McInnes so far is absolutely the Manager of the Year, I think you'd agree. We'll ask you all later. But if Martin O'Neill does it, and maybe does a double, but even by then, to win the league, Martin O'Neill back at Celtic, and if he wins, drags that team over the line, Kevin, he's a contender.
For me, whoever wins the league's the Manager of the Year. It's as that simple. Only in Scotland could we have a vote before the league actually finishes. Is it because Celtic's been that dominant over the years, or Rangers were dominant in the 90s, that it was all kind of tied up beforehand? But listen, Derek McInnes right now is the front runner to be the Manager of the Year just because of where they are and what they've achieved. I'd say what they achieved. They've not achieved anything yet. They're sitting top of the league. That's what they've achieved. But if Martin O'Neill gets Celtic over the line, wow, to drag that team in the way they've performed over this course and distance, that definitely would deserve Manager of the Year, and especially to come back for a second time and a third time in his history. For me, that vote needs to change. But there's been some really good managers this year. If you really think about it, like we've had like Bert's, Ascu's, Style, John McGlynn getting Falkirk to where they go to. Martin Neal coming in, even I'm going to say Danny Rohl getting Rangers from 12 points, whatever it was, 13 points behind.
Yeah.
But the reality is, I heard this the other day, that if Celtic were to beat Rangers on Sunday and Hearts were to beat Motherwell, then he's 10 points behind. So what's really, it's only a 3-point swing. It's not really something to scream about. So for
and that's
me,
what Rangers will have to think about just now.
of course it will. Listen, I think Danny Rohl needs to go. No, absolutely not. I think managers need more time, definitely. Like Peter said earlier before the show started, most managers come in, they get the January transfer window. That's not a great transfer window to get players that are going to take you forward. You need a full pre-season with your players from the beginning, where you get that maybe 6 to 8 week period working with them. You start the ground, you set the season, starting the ground. Oh, I spit that out, Kevin. Jesus Lord. You hit the ground running from the beginning. And I would like to think that Danny Rohl would get that opportunity.
All right, great to have the fans in the studio here. If you've got any questions for Kevin or Peter, we're here until 7 o'clock tonight. We're not taking calls this evening. It's a special edition. Quick break and then we're back.
Full Radio Football Show with Scottish Gas. Watch live at 5 p.m. weekdays on YouTube. Join the conversation on 0808 17 17 700. Talking Scottish football first.
A Premiership manager quit today. Marvin Bartley has gone from Livingston with 3 games to go. Peter, are you surprised?
Yes, I am, because I thought when they brought him in, they had a rough idea that they were going to be relegated. So I thought Marvin knew the division because he'd been down there with Queen of the South and whatever. So I thought there was a possibility they were just wanting to see how things were going to go. You'd get to know the players individually, even though I know he was on the coaching staff. But when you're the manager, it's completely different. But when I seen that today, but he's already went. That's interesting. But it's interesting that Scott Arfield's went in there as caretaker. So maybe it's something that they're looking at that maybe think Scott can do that job. So they'll maybe go outside Livingston.
Kevin, did he not do better than people would have thought? Because he had so many draws and then he got a win, only the second of the season.
No, I thought Marvin done a great job with him, because he made it. Well, you got a draw with Rangers. He beat. St Mirren,
he was 2 up.
Aye. He got maybe 3 or 4 draws. So he probably accumulated more points than most. I'm not saying more than Davy, but I don't know how the performance. I didn't watch much of Livingston, but for me, surely if you're getting draws and you've managed to get to 3 games before you're actually relegated, that would indicate that he was doing something right. So why not give him an opportunity? Like Peter says, he knows the league with Queen of the South. So listen, Davy Martindale as sporting director, anything could happen. So
well, Robbie is a St Mirren fan, so Robbie, you would be wishing, I would imagine, that he left a few weeks ago because he did so much damage to you.
That was a lot of damage on our season, to be honest with you. Struck at the worst time possible. There's been a couple of times we've played Livingston this season and they've took us close. We've managed to nick a couple of points, but that was probably the dagger that really hurt us. I think Marvin done a brilliant job at getting the defensive basics right. That was a big thing I think David was missing for his game. I think he came up playing one way and maybe tried to switch it and it just didn't quite work. So
was Marvin better organised at the back?
I think Marvin was much better organised at the back, and I would have loved to have seen what he managed to go and build if he was to take them off forward in the Championship. Sorry, but I mean, Scott Arfield, he's been there and he's had the experience. I think you almost look at it 2 ways. You look at it like a Scott Brown figure managing in the Championship if he is to take that job forward, or he goes on and be successful, manages to rebuild Livingston, which at this point they really need, because I think they've got a squad size of about 35. It's a really, really big squad, so they're going to need to do some clearing.
What about your game this weekend? You're on 30 points. Livy away, as we know, on 20 against Kilmarnock. Just one better than you. You can't overstate how big this game is for you.
I know. I wish I could say I was more confident going into the weekend, but I think you mix in how well Kilmarnock have been the last couple of weeks. They've sort of picked up momentum. I think Neil McInnes an absolutely brilliant manager. He's got the right coaching team behind him as well to take them forward. And you combine that with a sold at Kilmarnock away base that's going to come to Paisley. It's shaping up to be a pretty horrible game for us. Kilmarnock go there knowing if they beat us, we're not going to overturn 4 points, especially away at Aberdeen in the midweek. So it's a massive, massive game in our season. And if we fall into the playoffs, I worry about playing any of the teams in there, to be honest. So
do you? Yeah.
I'd really like to not be in that situation.
Sure.
See, on your manager appointment, obviously Craig McLeish has come in the first game I think he played, was it Rangers, with the Brighton saying that?
Yeah, 1-0.
And it was a positive performance. Do you now think that his inexperience is catching up in this latter part of his small tenure? I'm just asking because he's come from a youth coach straight into try to keep a team in the league. That's tough.
It was a very interesting decision by the board. I think they almost fed into the players and how the players wanted to handle the sort of next manager. And they were right behind Craig. He came in, as you said. I thought he looked pretty positive in his opening few games. I think the worst thing that ever happened to us was going to extra time against Celtic. It absolutely killed any momentum that we had left in that game. And as a couple of the players said, if we had 2 or 3 more minutes, we'd probably beat Celtic in that game. So, it was a double-edged sword against Celtic in the cup. I think both games really hurt our momentum a bit. You know, it's not often you go to Celtic Park and play them off the park for 60 plus minutes, and I thought McLeish's done an excellent job. But as soon as it got to the point where we're playing bottom 6 clubs and we're testing ourselves with more of the ball and with more chances, we don't look as if we can score. And it's interesting because we've got a 21 goal contribution striker, Mandron, up front, and he looks like one of our worst strikers right now. So
What's happened to him? He did score a few weeks ago, but listen, tell us, you're sitting next to John, the Celtic fan. You two were up against each other months ago. Most people thought, Celtic were the favourites for it. What was that day like for you at Hampden?
Oh, it was magical. I mean, I never personally got to experience Hampden before that, so getting to go to the semi-final against Motherwell, run over the top of them, and then play Celtic in the final, which I know John here will be thinking, it was Wilfred Nancy, it was this and that, but we done really, really well on that day. He combat anything that Celtic flung at us, so that's a day that lives long in the memory. No matter what happens this season, even if it does end up being a disaster and we end up getting relegated, we'll look back at this season by that cup win.
I think you're right there, talking about the extra time. That's the only time that St Mirren have struggled against Celtic. The rest of the time, St Mirren were the better side right throughout the season. So I was going to ask you the question, do you think Craig McLeish should get the job then from a St Mirren fans' point of view?
I think most of the fans have probably turned against the idea of giving Craig the job full time, to be honest, and that's not particularly just down to Craig. I think Craig probably needs some more experience at a...
Do you think it's something to do with the style that Stevie had that is completely different to what Craig's got, isn't it? And I don't mean that disrespectful to him, because it's different the way that the way each other play.
Yeah,
so the fans are used to playing a certain way. Now, the hardest way to play is the way Craig's playing, especially if the team's not winning.
Yeah,
and that's, you can sense the supporters. Is that the way the supporters are feeling?
Yeah, I think so, and it's hard to transition, when you're playing one way for such a long time, and I personally believe that is the way we should be playing with this group of players. You look at our midfield, especially Phillips, Devaney and Mark O'Hara, for most of the season. They like playing that sort of direct style. They can pounce onto any sort of midfielder, any defender if you need to. Phillips has been really, really aggressive this season, so I think they actually suit playing that style a lot better. Craig's obviously come in, and as any manager's they're going to use their own shape, their own style. They like doing things their way. But I think overall it's really hurt the balance of the team, and I think that is why most fans have turned against the idea of McLeish permanently.
John, sitting next to you, not to look back to that game, that was the week when the madness took over at Celtic, didn't it? Brendan Rodgers had gone, Martin O'Neill came in, he beats Rangers in the semi-final in the League Cup, and days before it, when Hearts were coming to town, to Glasgow, and they could have gone joint top if Celtic had won under Martin O'Neill, and they say no. Here's Wilfred Nancy. How do you look back on that week?
I think this has been the most turbulent season Celtic's ever had. But that particular week was, from memory, quite crazy. Even the full appointment of Wilfred Nancy, the way that things panned out, how he was appointed. Again, Celtic fans are probably looking at it from the perspective of the overall picture. How does this affect the season? How, we had Martin O'Neill who was doing a relatively decent job getting results. It wasn't the prettiest of results, but we were winning games, not by much. But then Wilfred
You'd
Nancy
only lost one game, hadn't you? And that was the European match.
Wilfred Nancy comes in, I think we lose, it's 6, is it? I don't know, can't remember.
Four league games, 12 points.
Yeah, so 3 at the back just wasn't working, and then obviously Martin O'Neill coming back is,
Who do you think chose him? Do you think it was AI? Do you think they put it in a machine and up came this name? Because he had some good stats, but it was crazy. And across the city at Rangers, they'd just been through the Russell Martin, Kevin Thelwell, the year of the bluffers. And I don't mean that disrespect to, I don't know Kevin Thelwell at all. Yeah. Russell Martin had a good body of work at Southampton. Of course he did, and he got them promoted. But Scott, you must have been thinking, my goodness, what's happened at Rangers with Russell Martin? And the money that was spent, was that 28 million net in the summertime given to a guy doing his best, but he was gone within 6-8 weeks.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know any Rangers fans that wanted Russell Martin to come in. He's come from Southampton. Fair enough, you're saying he's got a body of work, but at Southampton they've got different expectations. They don't need to win every week. A draw is not a disaster for them, and it certainly is for us. Yeah, Russell Martin appointment.
I think that is the difference people don't realise, Paul, that Celtic and Rangers is a different animal, where you have to win all the time. You know, and I feel for Russell because he's done a very good job at Swansea as well.
Sure.
You know, and listen, he got Matt O'Reilly where he is. Like, there's no doubt of that. He got released from Fulham, nobody touched him, he taken him in and played him. So
Scott's not that bothered about that.
No, but you know what I'm saying? So he knows a footballer. You know, I think there was different things going on at Rangers. And I think you're right, because the fans never really tainted him, even when his name was mentioned for the job, which I found quite strange, actually, because I don't think they were going to get the top jobs. And that's why I think Danny Rohl, given time, I think he will do a good job for Rangers, because he's got a lot of experience, even though he's a young coach. And you'll find that with a lot of the German boys. They're in coaching since they're 22 years of age, getting to do it full time as well as playing. So I think you'll be pleasantly surprised if given time. I don't know what his selection of players is like. I don't know that in the respect to who he goes and buys. But I definitely think you'll find it difficult to be somebody with the qualities and the coaching background that he has.
And I know he's just 37, but was he outthought or outmanoeuvred by Derek McInnes the other night? Kevin, you were there at the game. He made one change at half-time, Derek McInnes, and it was a very different second half. So Danny Rohl, in with good credentials, I know that, with the German team, full respect to this young man, but has he got the chops?
Well, that's the question that everybody will ask, and the answer is at this moment in time is no, because he hasn't been able to get Rangers over the line. In terms of Derek McInnes being more of a tactical genius over Danny Rohl on Monday, the reality was, I think anybody watching that game could see plain sight that Hearts were being overrun in the midfield.
Sure.
Benny Beningby, they hardly touched the ball. He couldn't get close to anybody. So Derek McInnes had to do something in the midfield to try and match it up and make Hearts a bit more aggressive in there. That's why he made the substitution, and that's turned Hearts' fortunes around. But what Peter and me were talking about before the show is that the two centre-halves for Rangers, Giga and Fernandes, started playing out the back and slow to side. That just then invites pressure. Yeah. And then with the crowd, that's probably one of the best atmospheres I've been to. It was amazing. I know the boy Chisholm's getting a bit of stick for his sing-song at the beginning, but that was outstanding.
Who from, the Hibs fans?
No, just everybody in football in general. But
I know he looked a bit like the Bee Gees, but I'll tell you what, I thought he got the place absolutely
I thought it was
rocking.
Robin Gibb, but
right.
No, it was really, really good. And like I don't think Derek McInnes really thought about what Rangers were doing. He thought about, no, we need to be better and we need to be more aggressive, and that's what Hearts did, and that's why they got their goals. I would say Hearts only had 3 chances and they scored with 2 of them. The other chance was the free kick from side to side to Blair Spittle.
Yeah.
And what a save Butland's made. It's an outstanding save. But for me, no, I don't think Danny Rohl's been out-thingied by Derek McInnes. I think Derek McInnes has just stuck to, basically got in at half-time and said to his boys, look, we need to be more aggressive here. We need to get the press better. We need to put Rangers on the back foot, and that's exactly what they did, and Rangers struggled with it.
Dale, can you hold on to Derek McInnes for next season? Because the other night in the programme, a few callers came on, a lot of Rangers fans, and we always try to be measured on here. I think we do try to be fair, but I know the Rangers fans are not happy now about the chance that they've lost against a Celtic in disarray. That'd be fair, John, wouldn't it? The club have been in disarray. I know they've won every title apart from one in 15 years, but they've sort of taken the eye off the ball this year. Can you hold on to Derek McInnes?
I think we do. I think if Clark doesn't sign a new deal with Scotland, he has to be the number 1 candidate. Would he want that just now, when he's got the chance to be in the Champions League at Hearts? I don't know. It'll be hard for him to turn down. I think I imagine the wage being Scotland manager is a lot more. It's a Hearts manager.
I wouldn't be so sure.
But I think we'll keep him, to be honest, because if we win the league, you get to see what Jamestown Analytics does. Get Champions League, we might actually throw a bit more at it again and then again and again and again. So I'll be surprised if he does go. But if I was like a top team in England or Scotland, for me, you'd have to be daft not to give him it.
See, on your Jamestown Analytics approach, obviously earlier on you said about the players that we bought from that aren't even in the starting lineup.
Not many of them.
But the likes of Stu Finlay there, who is what I would class as a typical seasoned pro in Scottish football, done well at Commander, got a move to America, came back. Jamestown Analytics would have shown Big Stu at the door. But he's been an ever-present, solid centre-half for Hearts, and probably a main part of why they've been successful, because on Monday, him and Halkett kept Jermiti very quiet.
It's a balance you need then, Kevin.
Of course it is. Aye, so
you can't
Jamestown will work in some instances, but at this minute in time, I think it's still in its infancy with Hearts. I think Derek McInnes will be the guy that will identify what he exactly needs. And if Hearts, what I think Hearts need more than Jamestown Analytics is Tony Bloom throwing a bit more money at it. So attract that little bit more in calibre and quality in wages, and that'll get you the players that will potentially take Hearts. I'm not saying they're going to qualify through into the Champions League, but they need to give themselves an opportunity, because the windfall from that would be incredible.
Johnny, how important to Hearts then for next season, assuming, and we're not there yet, of course we're not, it could be Hearts, it could be Celtic, but Derek McInnes, no matter what happens, you'd want to tie him down, because some people feel Rangers should come in and try and get him. He's a Glasgow, from the Glasgow area, ex-Rangers player, pay him the money, bosh.
I think Danny Rohl stays put where he is. I think they give him a bit more time, so...
Is that what you want, or is that what you think they will do?
I mean, a bit of both. I would prefer that he stays there for a wee bit, but I would prefer McInnes to stay put as well, to be honest. But I don't think at this point in his career he would go to the Scotland manager job necessarily. I think there's more for him to achieve at Hearts. Like Kevin said as well, we've got like that spine of the team. Like everyone's talking about the analytics, rightfully so, right? But you've got your Milnes for Partick, and you've got your Stu Finley's, your Halkits, and like Shankland, like Blair Spittle's been really good the last few weeks. He's kind of an unsung hero the last like few games, like we spoke about earlier as well. Like we've got the signings, we're preparing for next season already. We've got a free agent coming in as well, again from like a third tier French side. So I think McInnes stays put. He's getting everything that he can out of the players every game, bit by bit, and I think he'll do the same come Saturday. I think he'll have the tactics that he had against Motherwell when we played them at home.
Okay.
He had the keeper free, Ward, and that was the only player that had the ball. They wouldn't allow anyone else to have the ball with the press that we had against them, and I can see them doing the exact same thing again. And I'm not sure how Motherwell are able to counteract that, because, I mean, who else do you have free other than try and pass the ball to a player that's getting marked?
There's the ball could fall for Masquinisi, goal number 23 of the season. I don't know why I put that daft accent on. We need to take a break. We're going to look at that. We're going to speak to our Motherwell experts who are with us, Ian and Michael. We're going to speak to everybody as we head between now and 7. Peter, you happy?
Very much so, Paul.
And on that note, we'll take a quick break.
The Go Radio Football Show with Scottish Gas.
A lot of great comments coming in about our studio audience, some of the great supporters that we have here on the Go Radio Football Show with Scottish Gas, and saying, why do we need Peter, Paul and Kevin on this show? It's a very good show, I think.
I can't believe how I've been so quiet.
I know.
First time ever.
It's the first. Honestly.
Cannot believe I don't even need the water.
Yeah, that's right. he never stops. Just checking for some of the headlines. Marvin Bartley has gone. Elijah Just, he's been watched by Celtic. I'm sure he's been watched by others as well, as Lazio is the latest to be watching Arne Engels. And it's that time of the year, isn't it? I think for all of us in Scottish football, we're looking, what's going to happen in the next, how many days to go? It's not many, is it? 11 days. It's all over by a week on Sunday. On the Saturday, it's the top 6 and the bottom 6 on the Sunday. And we've got fans here from, Robbie St Mirren, Grant from Falkirk, Michael and Ian from Motherwell, Kieran from Hibs, Dale and Johnny from Hearts, and John from Celtic, and Scott from Rangers. It's going to be some run in. Thank you so much for coming in. Lots of comments coming in on the socials. So we're on the Go Radio Football Show, because this is the football show. This is where they do, you can tell the money in here, can't you? This is where the Hunter and Hockey show comes as well for every Sunday morning. If you didn't listen or watch last Sunday's business show, it's brilliant. There were 4 people from the hospitality sector here, top people, plus Tom and Willie, and John was on from somewhere, and the sense they were talking about business in Scotland was just phenomenal. So I'd urge you to have a listen to it. They talk such sense. I'd vote for them if I could, but I know it's voting day today, so all we say is I would encourage you to use your democratic vote. Go out and vote if you can, and that's all we can say to stay out of trouble. Bernard Ponsonby does the show here, the politics, on Sunday, and that'll be fascinating, because they don't count the votes tonight. They now, tomorrow. Things have changed. They used to do it immediately afterwards. I used to love covering the elections, but it'll be tomorrow. So the business show on Sunday morning, not to be missed. And tomorrow night here, Barry Ferguson will be in the studio, along with, tomorrow night, I'm not a lip reader, it's Darren O'Dea who'll be with us. So they'll be here tomorrow. They'll be good.
I was going to say, you dropped the standards.
He usually says at this point, Rob McLean, he loves Rob McLean. But listen, the budget can't go that far for Rob. He's big time, Charlie. What are we thinking here? Who do we want to talk about?
Can I ask you a question?
Of course.
We're talking about analytics.
Yes.
And I agree 100% with Kevin on the fact that Finlay was such an important player. I think he's got 7 or 8 goals or something as well. Derek had to fight to get him for Hearts. So he fought to get him. But then on the other side of it, you look at, I think, 2 of the boys that started Hearts in this position and put them in this position, maybe the boys will disagree with me here, the Hearts boys, Dale and Johnny. Aye. I think Casaridis and Braga have been outstanding. Casaridis went quiet the last maybe month. I think they're the guys that put Hearts in this position because I think they were different to what Hearts had. They had that wee bit of magic. They could beat players, and I don't think Hearts had that. And I think they've made a big difference to the team.
All right, in fact, Ian, you're going to come up against Casaridis and Braga and co. Braga, the Player of the Year. What do you think of Hearts then? Would there be 2 of the players that you would pinpoint as crucial?
Yeah, I actually saw Braga playing his first game back after injury. It was that KDM Cup or whatever it was, and he was absolutely brilliant. He was light years ahead of everybody else. He was the fastest man in the park. You could tell he had something about him. And Shanklin as well. How nobody's come in for him, I don't know, but I think Hearts are an excellent manager as well.
Dale, what do you think then on those 2? Braga, I mean, how much did he cost you? I think I know was it 400,000 or something?
I think it's something like that. I think it's second or third division for the Norwegian league. Like, you'd have to play a lot of Football Manager to kind of hear as well. But I think he's been brilliant, because the last few seasons, Hearts stay decent, Shanklin gets injured, the season's derailed. This season, Shanklin gets injured, Braga stepped up. So I think he's been the most important one. He's scored a lot of goals as well.
I'm looking at John, I'm looking at Scott, at this kind of money. When you think about it, if we can put it along to John first, I just keep thinking, I don't know Balikwisha, I don't think anyone does, I don't know where he is. 4.5 to 5 million your club paid for him. And he's not alone. The money spent by Celtic, you heard the wage bill, 73 million, I think it was, the most recent one. Hearts, 19 million.
Yeah, I mean, you look at the valuations of both clubs and you think, how come Celtic can't win the league every year? And the reality is we do, but this year's obviously a bit different in the sense that, everything's came right down to the wire. But, there's also things to consider about how other teams have improved across the leagues. I think that's a very important point to mention. I don't know what the panel thinks. I think, has every other team improved?
No, you're probably on you go.
Yeah. No, Kevin.
No, I would agree with you because I think what tends to happen from most seasons is you have your Celtic, your Rangers, and then you have an Aberdeen, a Hearts. I think last year Hibs kind of stepped up. Would that be right? So it's always like one team seems to step up and give a little bit of, I don't know, just push them a little bit harder.
Yeah.
But this year, I think the standard across the whole league, like one of you said earlier, I can't remember what it was, that any team can beat any team on any given day. We've seen like Kilmarnock give Celtic a right good game down at Rugby Park, and Celtic have to score in the 95th, 96th minute to get a winner. We've seen St Mirren take points off Celtic. We've seen Hearts go to Ibrox and take points off Rangers. It's been like, I always said at the beginning when Hearts were at the top that the league will be decided when Hearts play against the Old Firm, but Hearts have actually taken care of the Old Firm better than most teams.
They've only lost once, haven't they?
Is that what it is? Once,
Yeah.
aye. Whereas
4-2.
I always thought that Celtic and Rangers took care of your Aberdeen, your Dundee United, your St Mirren's quite comfortably, whereas they've struggled big time. I think if you look at the Falkirk Rangers, I think Falkirk has drew twice with Rangers and lost, and they were 2-0 up at home. So it has been an interesting season where teams have stepped up, and well, the only other team you have to talk about is Motherwell. They've took points off at everybody just with the way they play.
And they're going to be right. What I said, we'd speak to Ian and Michael. Michael, what are you thinking about the game against the league leaders, the champions in waiting? They're not there yet. It could be Celtic. What do you reckon for the game on Saturday?
Well, see, to be honest, this season I think Motherwell can take points off anyone. With the way we play is something different. You look at Celtic and Rangers, the ball gets passed between their 2 centre halves. Motherwell play through the lines and they penetrate at any time. But obviously with the stakes that Hearts are playing at, I can't really look past Hearts properly getting a result. I don't think they'll come man for man like they did at Tynecastle. Because it's at Fir Park, I can see Hearts being a wee bit more conservative in the first half, letting Motherwell have the ball. Quite similar to what they did against Rangers, actually. And It's a hard one to call because obviously Motherwell went 3-0 up at
Of course,
Tynecastle.
yeah. That one probably haunts you a wee bit, or a big bit.
So I could probably see it going both ways, but if I had to say something, I think Hearts will win at Fir Park Saturday.
But it's interesting, Paul, we're having this conversation, we're talking about how poor Celtic have been. And we are, to be perfectly honest with you, that's what we're saying. Celtic have won the same amount of games as Hearts and scored more goals than them. And still had a really poor season. That's what we're talking about Danny Rohl earlier on, how different it is and different expectations are. For Hearts have done phenomenal. I think the two boys have made a massive difference. There's no doubt in my mind of that, because Shankland, we know what he can do, but there was nobody else after that. But when you look at statistically, you're looking at Motherwell. Celtic have won 23 games, Hearts have won 23, Motherwell won 15, but they're getting all the plaudits. So there's a different level you've got to be. It's because Motherwell where they were, Hearts where they were, have got to that level. Celtic and Rangers have been well off the planet this year on performance-wise, but you've got to give credit to other teams for sticking in there. And Hearts have done it phenomenally well. As I say, the best team, and I can say, even as a supporter, as a young man, I'd never seen a domestic team tear Celtic apart at Fir Park, as Motherwell did in that midweek game. Motherwell were unbelievable.
It ruined your New Year, didn't it?
Yeah, it did, because, let's be perfectly honest, I'd never seen anybody do, even in Europe. Even in Europe, I thought that was the best domestic performance I'd ever seen.
Really?
That's it. Yeah, against a Celtic team.
Ian, I mean, that's praise from Peter Grant, who knows what he's talking about. So ahead of this game, and I can imagine Bert will ask you, if he's going wherever, you know, there's lots of clubs interested in him. Motherwell would want to keep him. Celtic are the favourites. He'll want to win this game for you, for the fans, and for himself.
Yeah, I think the best chance Motherwell have got really is to score in 95 minutes, not so Hearts don't have a chance to come back from behind again like they've done the last couple of weeks. So, you know, Motherwell's defence hasn't been the best this year because of the way they kind of press other teams and move forward. But I hold them out to nothing each and score in 95 minutes. I'd question Peter on the performance at Fir Park. I remember a night with John Spencer and Andy Gorham in the team when they beat Celtic. I can't remember the score, but they did tear them apart that night, a long time ago.
Yeah, that's right.
But I don't think I've seen a team beating Celtic, but dominating them for 95 minutes.
Comprehensive, wasn't it?
And no matter what Celtic done, Motherwell were different and just kept playing through them. And Celtic changed, well, I'm saying changed personnel, never changed their system. I just thought Motherwell were outstanding that night, and very rarely does that last for 90 odd minutes, and it did in that particular night, and that's why you've got to give the team and the manager great credit for the performance.
Who's your Motherwell player of the year? Is it Maswanisi? Elijah Just?
Probably Just, I think. Maswanisi is a wee bit hot and cold. He'll be absolutely brilliant one week and then he'll kind of fall off it, but he does always score a goal right enough.
22 of them. Yeah.
But I think going back to the Celtic point as well, I was at the game at Parkhead, and I think Motherwell had most possession that game as well. It was about 65% possession, which never happens away from home against the Old Firm. So even showing that progression as well, I just hope whoever because I think he's going anyway, but I think whoever takes up the mantle next year, they play the same kind of football. What I would say as well is a lot of this stuff happens at youth football as well, and I watched Motherwell under 21s or under 20s. And they played exactly the same way. It was squeaky bum half the time because they weren't as kind of practiced at it. But they didn't. I think they drew nothing each that game. So they're teaching it to their young youth academies as well. So hopefully that kind of legacy just keeps going and it makes it more interesting.
Great first hour. Thank you so much. Will you stay for the next 60 minutes?
No problem.
We're back after the news.
The Go Radio Football Show with Scottish Gas. Watch live at 5 p.m. weekdays on YouTube. Join the conversation on 0808 17 17 700. Talking Scottish football first.
We sure are. A unique programme, the first of many. Live audience with us tonight from many of the Premiership clubs, and we're delighted to have each and every one of you, along with Kevin Kyle and Peter Grant here on the Go Radio Football Show. No phone-ins tonight. The common sense, the good sense is here in the studio. And in the next hour, we want to talk about Europe. Who's going to qualify? What's going to happen at the bottom of the table? Although the consensus of opinion seems to be that whoever is second bottom will be stronger than Dunfermline or Arbroath or Partick Thistle. But we'll find out. I think St Johnstone thought that a couple of seasons ago, didn't they? But when they went down, we will find out. Champions League last night, of course. And wow. Goal from Harry Kane, too little, too late. So we know who's going to be in the final. PSG against Arsenal. Former Rangers manager, of course. Arsenal, Mikel Arteta. Scott, I take it you'd love it to see your former player get to? Well, he's there in the final. Do you think he can do? Can he do the double? What do you reckon?
I hope he does.
Yep.
They're very difficult to beat. Arsenal, they're not very exciting to watch anymore,
Yeah.
but they're very difficult to beat. So yeah, I'd be happy if Arteta did it.
I take it the title would be the number one for them.
I think so, but Champions League, they've never won the Champions League or European Cup, so it's what a season to be an Arsenal fan.
Absolutely. Peter, are you going PSG or Arsenal?
PSG.
Okay.
Because I think Arsenal are rigid. They've got fantastic players, but I think they're rigid. I think PSG are very quick. Arsenal have got, obviously, the set plays, which have been magnificent this year, and they're such a big side compared to PSG. But what PSG do very well, and if you noticed it over the two games, Bayern and PSG, I was just saying to Kevin Pryor, the amount of times the ball was kicked out of play last night. And we talk about PSG being the best footballing side, without a shadow of a doubt. There's no doubt in my mind of that. But every time the ball went back to the goalkeeper, he never played to one centre half or the other. He just went long, and then all of a sudden they would get it further up the pitch, because they must have, I remember, I think it was a couple of rounds ago, he made an error, and the manager already must have said, when it comes back to you, go forward. And I think we'd get caught up in that in Scotland. Derek McInnes has been brilliant at his team, saying, right, see when the ball goes wide, cross it. See when we get set plays, we want good delivery. See when you're in an area to cross it, cross it. All these things. And that's what I'm saying. Sometimes Craig McLeish is struggling a wee bit, because if he's not winning, playing the way he's trying to play, then there's a criticism comes. So that mix that I think Muller will have. And then you go back to PSG, the best football players, but they still try and make the right decisions by knowing when to go forward.
Can we get a show of hands here in the studio? Who prefers the long ball from the goalkeeper? I mean, obviously sometimes it does work to play a short one, but would you prefer the long ball that used to be, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. What does our keeper think here? Michael, hand up or hand down? He's kept it down. He's good with the ball at his feet, obviously.
The person that I prefer playing out for the back is
right.
One, it makes me look better, to be fair, but but when you're playing through, I've kind of played academy all my life. It's all been you play out, you play short, and nothing's really been put long. But when we kind of get put into that professional environment, everyone's been more going long and hitting big strikers and playing off big strikers. But I think obviously on the eye, it's always better to watch a goalkeeper try to play out, and you obviously get that odd mistake that Avdi kind of likes to watch, where a goalie tries a Cruyff turn or something and gets slide tackled. Avdi likes to see that.
See, on that, Michael, see a cross comes in from the left-hand side. You catch it, your full-back's on the covering you just in case you drop it. What's the difference with him sprinting out quickly, which it used to be? At Celtic, we had done the same. Danny McGrain, if Pat Bonner or that came to catch the ball, they were told, as soon as he caught it, you've got to be on the defensive side, but get it out to your full-back as quickly as possible. That was playing out. Now they're taking that. I've never seen so many goalkeepers give the ball away and so many opportunities given up, even at the top level, as there is now. And people can't see me that's correct. I don't care what anybody says. That's not correct. If you're giving goals up like that, for me, it's a waste of time.
So what's your question to Michael then?
I'm saying, when the ball comes into you, as your coach ever say, you see if you grab it, play quick, get it out to your full-back instead of putting it down to your feet and trying to do a pass.
Yeah, I think if let's say a cross comes in, you do want a full-back just to take off, because immediately the pressure's off you. If you're a goalie with the ball,
there's Paul. So can I answer that, Michael?
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. There's the pressure off you.
Yeah.
So why put the pressure on them?
Of course.
By trying to play out to somebody 4 yards that's facing the wrong way.
Yeah.
And that's what I'm saying. Michael's 100% right. We said there's the pressure off you. So why not do that? That's part of the game.
Yep.
You know? So the quicker you do it, instead of just trying to play themselves out.
Kevin, who's going to win the Champions League? Because I want to ask everybody a question in the next few minutes.
I think based on last night's performance, not as much the first leg. Last night's performance, I thought PSG looked very disciplined, and they scored after a couple of minutes. So how quick they break, Arsenal can be a bit laboured at sometimes. Yeah, they've got great delivery from set plays and they're very good defensively. But if we look at who Arsenal have played on the route to the final, they haven't played against a level of opposition like PSG. Yeah, they won the group stage. They beat Bayern Munich in that group phase, but Sporting Lisbon, Bayer Leverkusen, Atletico Madrid, I don't think that's the same calibre as what they're going to come up against in the final. So for me, I think PSG win it comfortably.
It was some goal, wasn't it? The PSG goal.
Just how fast they pass it, move. It's one decision from one pass that goes wide and how quick he puts that through.
Robbie, are you going to get European football next season? Robbie is our Falkirk fan who's here. Grant up at the back there, sorry. Grant, what do you reckon? Robbie's at St Mirren. He'd be hoping to be in Europe.
No, do you know what? I don't think Falkirk fans have got any expectation of European football next season. I think being in the lower leagues of Scottish football for so long, and then in your first year back in the top flight, you get to the semi-final of a Scottish Cup, and you finish in the top 6. We're ecstatic. If we get into Europe, then that's a Brucey bonus. But no, I think if it happens, it happens. But I don't think Falkirk fans are going to lose sleep over it. And we should try our best to get there. Yeah, it'd be great if we do. But yeah, let's just see what happens.
Ian's explaining to Michael, his son, what a Brucey bonus is. Back a couple
Can
of
I
years.
ask Grant a question there?
And can you in a minute? I need to ask him something else just
right,
now.
that's all right. I thought you were going to wait for him there.
I've been told to keep it moving just now, quite rightly. There's so many questions. Because Peter, we'll need an extra hour or 3 hours with Peter's questions. Grant, what do you think, though, for you? Barney Stewart, how good has he been?
Barney Stewart's been brilliant, and I think, I don't want to admit it, but I think going to Dunfermline on loan for the first half of the season has helped him greatly. And coming into this second half of the season back with ourselves, I think he's been on fire, he's been brilliant, and I think the worry is, will someone want to come in and take him during the summer months?
Yeah, the word is Celtic are watching him and others as well. Kevin, as a great striker, what do you think of Barney Stewart?
He's young, he's learning, but he has so much potential moving forward. Do I think he's ready for a club like Celtic? No, absolutely not. Do I think he could slot into somewhere like an Aberdeen? 100%. The way Stephen Robinson plays. The thing I like with Barney Stewart is there'll be games there, you'll probably be able to help me here, there'll be games where he probably doesn't touch the ball a lot because of the way Falkirk play, but he's that focal point that can hold it up, lay it off, he gets in the box, he causes problems, drags players out of position and allows the other players to get involved. So for me, from where he's come from, I think it's like non-league to uni to whatever, what a story. And that just shows you that you should never give up on your dream, because he certainly hasn't. And he's been a massive part of what Falkirk done. There's obviously talk about him, can he break out the Scotland team for the World Cup? That's a big ambition. It's difficult, but it's nice to have his name in that conversation, because he is one of only maybe a few Scotland players that are actually scoring goals. So
He looks as though nothing phases him.
No, because it won't phase him. When you've come through the pathway that Barney Stewart's had to get to Premiership football, why should anything phase him? Whereas some of these kids that go through, you've done it, the goalie there for Hamilton, the trauma, because that's what it is, the trauma of going through a pro youth system, the question every summer, am I getting kept on, am I getting released? Barney Stewart's just enjoyed his football with his pals, and then all of a sudden he's ended up at Falkirk scoring goals in the Scottish Premier League. What a story.
Calvin Miller, he was wanted by Celtic in January. It didn't happen. I might ask John what he thinks of that. You'll be glad you didn't lose him, but when you see the money Celtic spent elsewhere and didn't get much back, what do you make of Calvin Miller?
Yeah, that was the rumour back in the January window. No, Calvin Miller at the Player of the Year awards the other night there, he won our Player of the Year. So no, he's fantastic, and his link-up play with Barney and the crosses he's getting in for Barney is kind of one of the main catalysts for the goals that Barney's scoring. So no, it'd be a big loss if he was to go in the summer as well. But no, what a player Calvin is.
So you're up against Kieran's Hibs this weekend. Kieran, what do you think? You're 2 points better. You're at the new Brockville. You're at the Falkirk Stadium. Huge game if you could win this one for Europe.
I think it decides who finishes 5th and 6th the weekend. If we can go there, get the result, even a draw perhaps would be enough. But when you look at the last 3 games, I'd say arguably this is the hardest one. If you look at the visit, our last visit there, we got hammered. We've got a trip to Ibrox, which might be a bit of a dead rubber for Rangers by that time. And we've got Motherwell at Easter Road, the last game of the season, who know how to control a game of football. They at that stage they might not need to win the game. So I definitely think Falkirk's got the hardest game at the weekend. As I say, they have been a breath of fresh air.
Who's been your
season.
Player of the Year for Hibs though?
Difficult. I would say consistently at the back, probably Warren O'Hara at centre back. He has been in and out of injuries, but Grant Hanley was a good addition probably in the summer. He's not played as much with injury suspension as well.
He'll go to the World Cup though, won't he?
Aye, he's one of Clark's men, so he'll be there. I think that'll be his last kind of international involvement. But I do think that it's a lot harder this year to pick a player of the year compared to last.
I think you're not the only club in that position. Peter, sorry, I jumped in there.
No, that's all right.
Yeah.
If you've answered
Go
all
on.
my questions.
Have you? You were going to ask about Barney Stewart, weren't you?
I was. I
Yeah.
wrote that. No, what I was asking was about Barney Stewart, but also Calvin Miller.
Yep.
I thought he deserved to be in the squad the last time with the national team, and young Finlay Curtis got it. And he'd only went on loan to Kilmarnock at the time, and I definitely thought that Calvin Miller deserved that opportunity. And we talk about somebody fighting back, because he was released as a young man from Celtic and that as well, and it's never easy. And I thought he'd been outstanding. And if I would have been him, because let's be honest, when you go to Scotland now, it's about the World Cup. It's not about blood. And we said that the last time in the Euros, that Stevie never done that with young ones anyway. He said it wasn't the right place for him. So why is it the right place for the World Cup? I just don't understand. So I thought Calvin Miller was very, very unfortunate not to get that opportunity to be in there. Barney Stewart, I agree with Kevin. I think he's always in between the sticks. You'll see him more often than myself. I always like that about a striker, that he can finish off his first touch. And that's why I think he's got a chance of going and progressing. Falker's been brilliant for him. And I agree with you, going to Dunfermline and was a big thing for him. I know you don't like saying because there's a rivalry there. But I thought he was outstanding. But I think they too definitely deserve to be in that squad. And I was just interested if Grant's watching them all the time. Did you think that in the last one when they done the Scotland squad that it should have been in it?
No, I think I agree with you with Barney. Barney is one for the future. He's raw. I think he's too raw to be in the Scotland squad. But Calvin Miller, I can't fathom why he's not in the Scotland squad. What a player, and I think he'd be an asset to the national team.
Kieran, next year, Kieran Bowie's gone now, obviously, but it was great for Hibs. Do you expect him to go to the World Cup?
Unsure. He's got a couple of goals out in Italy.
Yep.
There was a lot of hype round about him before he got his move. Celtic Rangers rumoured in for him. He probably didn't get as many goals for Hibs because of the role that he was asked to play in and the system that he was asked to play in. I do think that with different tactics he would have performed even better than he did first half of the season. I thought in Europe he was fantastic. Really good early on. He got that wonder goal against Partizan. But it was hot and cold with him. I think he really relied on a playing partner up top. And that was Martin Boyle, a 32-year-old Martin Boyle, which maybe when he was 28, 29 they would have linked up a bit better, but I think Bowie was getting asked to do a lot more of the running to feed Boyle. So
we're going to talk World Cup in the next section. It's the Go Radio Football Show with Scottish Gas. And it's live edition. Well, we're live every night, but we're even more live tonight, more lively with the studio audience here. I'm sensing a few Celtic fans are on saying there's not that much praise for Celtic these days. I think in some ways that might suit Martin O'Neill because, you know, he underplays things. John, I'm looking at you. Who would be your player of the year? And I guess, what do you think is going to happen in the next few weeks? Do you expect to be champions again?
So, my player of the year would be Mirren.
Right.
I think the goals that he's came up with has been brilliant. But is he a player that fits into a good system? Some say he's a bit of an outlier. And yeah, the thoughts on winning the league is 86, the spirit of 86. Can Celtic do it again? You know, can Celtic, beat Rangers at the weekend?
What do you think?
I think we can. I think you've got Maeda there who can cause all sorts of problems. I think you've got experienced players that can come on like Forrest. I suppose the big question for me to the panel is like Tanecki this season. Tanecki for me has been below par and not doing the right things. Peter, I mean, what's your thoughts on Tanecki?
No, I've said it on here many a time. Celtic have got too many passing wingers. James Forrest is the only one that goes and takes someone on when he receives possession of the ball. And Celtic wingers were always renowned for creating so many chances because they were the one that was given the licence to lose possession. I know it sounds crazy, but they were the ones that would give them the ball, go and let them take someone and put a cross in the box. I agree with you. Tanecki's flattered to deceive too many times. You see him in some games, you think, wow, this is the player you're looking for. And there are a couple of games he was really outstandanding, and then all of a sudden he just fell off a cliff.
He's no Davy Provan, is he?
Oh, no.
Who's 70 tomorrow, Davy Provan, who
there's
scored the equaliser in the 100th Cup final.
Absolutely. But he was a special player. But,
he was.
He was a special player, but he was... That's why I'm saying the next coach that comes through, I hope is a guy that comes in, the next guru, and plays right wingers on the right side, left wingers on the left side, because when they go on the outside, Celtic and Rangers predominantly play against teams that's very narrow. So you've got to go outside them to create chances.
Is it caution's the problem? Kevin, do you find that coaches they're not encouraging them? Aidan McGeady was in that chair last night and he was great at beating a player, and one of the things that came up was maybe coaches, people play it safe.
It's probably back to that argument of the modern day football, the way we play, passing out from the back, try to break the lines and the transitions and everything. So when wingers get the ball nowadays, instead of that old fashioned winger get down the outside, cross it and keep away, they come inside to keep the ball moving. So it's like they come inside, dip the shoulder inside to play a 1-2. Oh, it's no on. We'll go back. We'll start again. We'll get to the other winger. He does the same. Whereas Peter's 100% right in with James Forrest. Like James Forrest, I think, championed a couple of weeks ago. I thought that he may start one of the games. He did start and maybe didn't get the same level of performance as they get from him coming off the bench.
So would you start him against Rangers?
No, I wouldn't. I would use
Impact.
Impact.
So who would you
on.
have up front? I'm going to ask John as well. What's the Celtic strike line? Do you start with Ian Acho?
After watching Rangers on Monday with Fernandes, Giga, I think Roms will come back into left back, and it'll be a question whether Tavernier starts at right back or no because of the Maida effect. There's this thing that Maida seems to just give a horrendous time.
Scott's groaning, John's smiling. We'll find out in a few days.
I would definitely have Maida up front, purely for the if Maida can start the game with the enthusiasm and the energy that he can bring to a Celtic squad.
Well, he's scoring again, isn't he?
Then that causes Fernandes and Giga all sorts of problems. And then if you get your two wingers high to support that, then I think Celtic have a chance. I don't see Celtic fearing Rangers Sunday. I genuinely think after watching Rangers on Monday against Hearts, I think Celtic can go there and Celtic can beat home and beat Rangers comfortably, but that's all down to mindset and attitude.
And they've got so much to play for. Scott, what's your feeling as a Rangers fan for this game? And look, I heard Alan McCoy saying yesterday morning, he didn't say it doesn't matter, but it's not the game they thought it would be. But of course it matters.
It always matters. I mean, the pressure's off, and that's when Rangers perhaps perform. So I don't expect us to get beat on Sunday, but maybe not win. It could be a draw.
Scott Olsen, would he start?
Scott Olsen, I wanted to speak about because he's frustrated the life out of me. I used to be a right winger. I mean, there's a fashion for the inverted wingers now. It's just not working, really. Scott Olsen has been a huge disappointment. He was brought in to be a game changer, and he's been anything but. It was a left field decision putting him on Monday. I mean, he got the ball and just looked back the way, passed the ball back.
He got in good positions, didn't he? It was the first thing I said to Barry Ferguson before the game, because I hope you were all listening and watching it on Sky, and we were watching it here. And I said, Scott Olsen. And Barry said, well, maybe he'll come good, but he'd only 4 games to go. What was the point? He's not going to be there next season.
But the big thing with him, Paul, it was always the situation. At Bruges, I think that was where he started. He was outstanding.
Yeah, sure.
I mean, he was brilliant. And everybody wanted him. And they paid a hell of a lot of money for him. But wherever he's went since, he's really struggled. Some guys are like that. They can play. They're quite happy to play in Belgium, quite happy and comfortable at a certain club. Rangers, and another even I agree with Scott there. I was so surprised they played on the right wing. You know, I thought maybe they'd have played even, if Romans was fit, started him, and then even put Tavernier further up the pitch. Because, for one reason, because I thought they're going to put crosses in the box. Because you need to put them in early against Hearts. Because if you're putting in long balls against Hearts, the 2 centre-backs will eat them up all day. So I thought they'd have maybe went a wee bit and sort of foxed Hearts a little bit by playing with 2 right-backs, but making Tavernier the one that's a little bit further forward. He didn't do that. Olsen's been a big disappointment because I must admit, when he came in, I thought he could be a right good player for the Rangers.
I think everybody did. So Danny Rohl apparently today is being linked with the Wolfsburg job. I don't know if that's coming from Germany or if it's coming from Scotland. I'm not sure, but maybe it might be an elegant way in the summer. Mark Guidi in here Tuesday night said he won't be here next season. The Americans don't hang around. They can't afford to. They've put in so much investment. He did a lot of good things. He narrowed the gap. But you made a great point earlier, Kevin. It could be, 10 points next week. We don't know just yet. So Wolfsburg for Danny Rohl. Any intel?
It's just speculation at the moment. But as I said to you earlier, he's a project manager. Rangers need more than a project manager. He's come from Sheffield Wednesday. Again, very different expectations. So, yeah, he's done very well to get us where we are. But ultimately, we could end up 10, 12, 13 points behind.
If he does go there, or if the club say, Danny, thank you so much, thank you, Sean, but we'll see you again, who would you have as manager? And be careful, you're
I
sitting
mean,
next to
it's,
the
the,
Hearts
it's the
fans.
usual names that are
Yeah.
mentioned. Stephen Gerrard obviously turned us down
A couple of
last
times,
year,
yeah.
so perhaps we don't go back to him. But
Do you want
I hate
Stephen
to
Gerrard
say,
back?
perhaps McInnes. There's a snobbery about McInnes, but perhaps by the Rangers fans. But
Maybe not now.
no,
What he's
perhaps
done at
not now.
Hearts, exactly. What about Stephen Gerrard? There's this kind of love affair in the minds of many Rangers fans, but it was season 3. He wouldn't get the time this time round, or can he be the guru? He went to Villa, as you well know. I mean, he won the 55. Everyone knows that.
He's just a man with gravitas and presence, and we had a system under him. It took a while to get to what he wanted it, but we had a terrific team. Even though it was the COVID season, he'd put together some team, and eventually that team, Giovanni, took to Europa League final. So, yeah, there's still a lot of Rangers fans that would have him back.
Quick break, and then we are back.
The Go Radio Football Show with Scottish Gas.
Certainly are. Scottish Gas, of course, sponsoring the Scottish Cup. Who's it going to be? Dunfermline or Celtic? The former Dunfermline manager is with us. What a career when you think of Peter Grant. Brilliant player at Celtic. He's always understated, but he brought so much success to Celtic. There were tough times as well, Peter.
Most
but
definitely.
look at the things that happened. But also your managerial career at Norwich City as assistant, and then the manager, West Ham United. And then you came to Scotland. You were at Alloa, Dunfermline. And one of the things that surprises me, because you can hear how much he knows about football and the way he studies the game, and that you're not in the game in management.
Well, Dunfermline one was a bit of a hard one, Paul, to be perfectly honest with you. You couldn't win a league match, so you lose your job. Then it's trying to get back in. You know the game. But listen, we all know the game. We're all fantastic. We're sitting watching, and we can tell everybody else how to do their job. When you're in there, there's certain situations. That was maybe a bit unfortunate. I'll give myself a bit of credit there. It was 3 years of COVID. So we never had the players in the dressing room. And the most important thing, Kevin will tell you, is having that unity within a group. The boys have spoke about it, having a team, building a team and a spirit. It didn't matter how many foreigners I had or any many Scottish boys. They weren't allowed to mix. But they travel to cars to games themselves. So there's all these situations on. COVID was a really difficult time for everybody, But for football players who are used to being in that dressing room, they actually bring the back four on. They bring one in at a time because they weren't allowed in the same dressing room.
We all fell for this, didn't we? It'd never happen again.
But you've all these situations, so there's all these things happen.
Did you go in separate cars and all that?
But what,
you couldn't shout at the
But the one
grounds.
thing I'm going to say about that is, as a coach, that's why there's different ways to coach. Because you don't learn that in the coaching field. It's how you manage your group of players. Do you understand that? I think Rohl's got a good background.
Danny Rohl.
Yeah, I think he's got a fantastic background. I watched, as I said, when he went to Qatar with Hansi Flick, who's Barcelona manager, and he had a very big say in that dressing room against with big players. We can talk about his inexperience, but he was talking to the likes of Thomas Mullers and all that, these guys, and coaching them. So I think we're doing him a bit of disservice that way. Yes, we know he's not got the results, but then you look at flip it on the other side. Derek knows the game inside out. We all up in Scotland. Then you look at Martin O'Neill. Look at the success he's had, but he's not got Henrik Larsson. He's not got John Hartson or Chris Sutton up front for him. So he's got a problem with what's going on. But his man management of players is brilliant. With any actual, what he does with any actual. So there's different ways of doing that. So you talk about what it takes to be a manager or get in a game. It's all different types, and it's what chairman are looking for. Then you've got to be fortunate enough you got the one that's selected for that job.
Kevin, we know what you did in Scotland, at Kilmarnock, Hearts, Rangers, and in England, Sunderland. You enjoyed your time there, and this weekend, because you take the football team, Candoret.
Aye,
2012. Wait till you hear this weekend.
Oh no, we've got a league game tonight, so
Tonight.
that's why I'm on my phone. I'm trying to see what's going on here.
Right, we'll test him as he leaves. See how
He's getting sacked. You're getting
I
sacked.
could be sacked after tonight. They're only 12.
Right,
so then we're away to Sunderland tomorrow. We're playing the Sunderland Under 12s Academy, and then Saturday morning we're playing a local, the Premier League Under 12 winners from Sunderland. And then Sunderland, Saturday afternoon, we're then watching Sunderland versus Man United.
Wow.
So I managed to pull a few strings and ask for a few favours, and the kids are going to go and see a Premiership game. So no, looking forward
Isn't
to it.
that brilliant to take the kids down there, play the games, and then go to the Stadium of Light, which I'd love to go to. Anyone been to it? At the Stadium of Light? No. Gary's a Burnley fan. You're not going to be seeing it next season.
You want me to
Sorry,
tell
Gary.
you sorry, but the Stadium of Light.
What's that?
We were the first ever team to win there.
Who? Celtic?
Nope. Norwich.
Oh, sorry,
as a
Norwich.
player.
Right. Okay.
And do you know when it was?
No.
It was unfortunately, it was the day Princess Diana died.
Oh dear. Yeah.
That was the unfortunate thing about it, Paul. It was the 30th, between the 30th and the 31st of August.
That's right.
And we were the first ever team to win it when it was the great Kevin Phillips and Niall Quinn. It was up front. And we beat them 1-0. Yeah. And Peter Reid was the manager. I think they went on 105 points that season. But a fantastic place to play.
It sure is.
Yeah, fantastic.
Yeah,
place.
we love our Scottish football and English football as well. We're always looking to put a kilt on it. That's what we call it in the journalism. And in England, they're talking about the Scottish Premiership race more than ever. And who's it going to be? We'll come back to that. Want to hear from everybody. The World Cup, most of us here seem to be going to the World Cup finals. I'm just looking round. Many of you will, well, maybe never been before, because all fairly... Has anyone been to a World Cup here in the Go Radio studio? Ian has been there. So, Ian, I take it you were France 98, I would imagine. Yeah. Can we just give that to Ian? What, did you get to the matches, any of them?
Yeah, we went to the Morocco game.
The last game.
We didn't get tickets for the rest of them. We bought them on the black market or something like that.
Right, I'm sure
they were very expensive and it was a waste of time. It was a waste of time.
Lauren saying dad, Taylor saying shush. Take that at the podcast. Yeah, I remember that. And I never, so I was lucky enough to be covering it. And that was what, 98, June 98. And I never thought we're not going to be at a World Cup again until 2026, but we are, and looking forward to it so much. Wow. Who's going to be there at the World Cup finals? Yeah. So, Ian, have you got tickets?
Yeah, we've got tickets for we're only going for the first game, so we've got tickets to the Haiti game.
Only? Boston, Massachusetts.
Yeah.
Be brilliant.
No, we went to Germany for the full 2 weeks, and I just hope we play a bit better and we use slightly different tactics. And we're talking about Barney Stewart earlier. I wouldn't mind bringing somebody like that in. There was a guy, unknown Italian man, many decades ago called Toto Scalacci, who hit the headlines. He didn't. People didn't really know him, and he ended up getting the Golden Boot, I think. So
great point.
Who knows?
Is that
You're
1990?
not going to know unless you show these guys in. So
Scalacci, I was lucky enough to be there. That was an amazing World Cup for us. And again, we missed out in qualifying. We've never done it. You know, Spain 82. We lost too many goals against New Zealand, and there was a mix-up at the back as well, wasn't there?
Two fantastic
there
greats.
was Dalglish, there was McGrain. Amazing teams that we've had. And then
74.
Yeah.
Paul, when they drew 0-0 with Brazil and should have beat Brazil.
Wow.
When it was the World Cup winners in that particular match. Remember the one at Billy Berner?
Yep,
for about 4 yards, puts it by the post. Great Davy Hay and that were all playing in that particular match. Yeah. Scotland were outstanding.
Davy Hay, of course, was the Celtic manager, wasn't he, in that day? I'm looking at John there, the Celtic fan. We will come back to who's going to win the title, because the Gorgie Road team have been quiet for maybe half an hour or so. They're just keeping their powder dry and keeping the voices ready for the next couple of games. Michael, what are you looking forward to most then? Going to the World Cup, what are you feeling?
Well, I just think the atmosphere around it will be... I mean, I went to Germany with my dad, so I think it'll be a lot different to Germany, because Germany, everything's so connected, but America's just... everything's massive, isn't it? So it's just going to be a really different experience in a World Cup, seeing all the kind of cultures that come together. And obviously I'm so young, so I've never really known a Scotland team to go to a major tournament, never mind the World Cup, so I think it's just going to be absolutely magic.
And see, when you go to these games, after in Germany, you must come back and you're buzzing then for pre-season. And even though it wasn't a great tournament for us, but to be there, the cream of Europe, how did that affect you as a young player?
Well, yeah, I came back from Germany, and I think it was a couple of months later I got my first contract, so it was a good couple of months for me. So it motivates you. You go and look, and you go. I think it was the first game against Germany, and Liam Kelly, I can't remember who else, Craig Gordon, and Angus Gunn came out to warm up, and there was 40,000 Scotland fans already at Allianz Arena, and they were just coming out to warm up, and we were all singing, and it was unbelievable. The noise was incredible. I just thought, how good would that feel to go out and warm up in front of 40,000 fans? I don't care if I'm the number 3. I think it'd just be incredible.
Maybe one day we'll clip this up for the day that he is with Scotland. Dale, I know you've got so much in your mind about Hearts going for the title, very, very close. But how do you feel about the World Cup?
I'm quite excited for it. I'm just disappointed for a few of the Hearts boys who doesn't like they're going to get in it. Because I don't think Halkett will get in it. Finlay, which I think they deserve to be in it, but I think the World Cup will be really good. Good start to Haiti. Morocco will be a quite tricky game. And just hope Brazil's had a few beers the night before then.
There's
a possibility.
See Dale on the Scotland squad, Shankland will obviously go.
Yep.
But there's no guarantee to start.
He's got to.
I think he has to, but I don't think he will. What do you think, Dale?
I would play him like, I'd say he's like the Scottish Harry Kane, like the way type he plays. Like he can...
But the English Harry Kane gets plenty of chances. He's not going to get in under Steve Clark.
He can play the ball, so he can play the ball through him. He's an absolute fox in the box. I think he can do everything, Like he can do everything.
What do you think, Peter?
No, I tend to agree. The difficulty is it's how you play behind.
Aye.
So he doesn't really come too far, because I like him near the box.
Yes.
So if you got McTominay and McGinn, I'd play behind.
Yep.
Shanklin, then that's the way I'd start with the front three.
Because he likes to have the Shea Adams or the
Lyndon Dykes
for the physicality and.
But I think if you play,
balls.
I think if you play McTominay closer to him, because if you remember in Germany, he went flat in midfield,
Yep.
and both of them ended up being in the defensive half. I just think we need to have a say. Let's have a go, because McTominay gets in the box and you see the amount of times he knocks the ball down. He's fantastic in there, and I think then that's when Shanklin would come in and be at his best, because there's absolutely no doubt he's the best finisher.
Because Johnny, it might be one tournament too far for Lyndon Dykes. I know he's been out a lot, and also even Shea Adams. I know he scores goals. Johnny, what do you think as a Scotland fan? And I get it. I think most people thought there should be more Hearts contingent there, but it doesn't look like it.
I think Steve Clark's got the players he likes. Like, he's already came out and said that, like, specifically about Hearts, like, the team's better than the players that are in it, pretty much. So I think it will be a Shanklin in the squad, but I think, like he's been saying, it's going to be Shea Adams or someone that starts.
But this is probably his last games as manager, and he's been brilliant for Scotland. I think everyone would agree. Yep, Stevie Clark has been amazing, taking us to 3 tournaments, but he's got nothing to lose. He just wants to go out on a high, and you just wonder if he says, right, I'm going to give it. I know he's really loyal to players that he's brought through the Grant Hattonleys and all the rest, but I just wonder. I've got a feeling he might change it, maybe in the World Cup.
Be brilliant if he did. I think Shanklin definitely deserves a chance to start up top and potentially score that first goal for Scotland in the World Cup. I think he's definitely got it in him. I think if you were to ask any Scottish person that's going to be watching the World Cup, they'd probably have that same feeling. But ultimately, Steve Clark's going to be the man in charge, and he's going to make that decision.
Robbie, what are you thinking then for Scotland? It's been some season for you, getting silverware. If we could get to the next phase for the first time ever, and we know it's a bigger tournament now, there's more teams, I hesitate to say it's almost difficult not to, because that would be disrespectful. What do you feel?
Yeah, look, I always think when you look back to the Euros, I think we look back with real disappointment. I think Steve will look back at them and think that's when we probably could have had a chance. You're looking at probably one of the toughest groups for us that we could have got, Morocco and Brazil. They're not going to be easy games at all. But I just think you've got to go and get your own this tournament. I mean, you're looking at the prospect of playing somebody like Ben Gannon Doak out wide, who I think can make some difference in these games. You know, you're talking about Shankland up front. The only player in that Scotland squad that I'd want putting balls into the box and try to get Shankland chances is Ben Gannon Doak. I'd love to see that partnership. I'd love to see Shankland on the end of some of these chances. You go back to the game on Monday at Tynecastle. If Scotland are going to get a chance against Morocco or Brazil, you're going to want Lawrence Shankland on the end of it if bury that chance.
See, on the Lawrence Shanklin thing, we play Lyndon Dykes because we want that focal point, target man type striker, and I get that. But see, if you really watch the detail and how Lawrence Shanklin actually plays, he's probably one of the best in Scottish football at bringing that into feet and linking players, protecting the ball. As he's got older, he's got so much maturer in his game in terms of he knows where to put his body. And I watched on Monday when he's up against Fernandes, who would possibly be one of the strongest centre halves we have in the league, and he's protecting the ball, getting his body in the right shape. And I think he can be that lone striker up front. He just doesn't threaten in behind, but does Lyndon Dykes threaten in behind? Does Shea Adams offer? So I think Steve Clark's got to look at that and think, first game he has to play.
Kieran, what would you say as a Hibs fan? Would you go with Lawrence Shankland up front?
I would, aye.
Yeah.
I'd play Lyndon Dykes gives me a headache just to watch them. Definitely Shankland, like you're saying, Gannon Doak there. I know Robertson's not had the season that he would have liked to go into the World Cup, but if you can get him further forward, putting balls in for the left, Shankland's the man you want at the end of it.
And Arnie Slot may well regret that he hasn't given him as many games as maybe he should have.
Aye. I still think he had a season in him before finishing up this year. I think it's ended quite sour for him. I don't think he deserves the service that he's gave to Liverpool. I don't think he deserves to go out the way he's went out. I don't think he deserves to have the lack of playing time that he's had. That's
right. What's it? 93 caps for Scotland. But the only good thing is, Robbie, he'll be fresh for us. Sorry, no, not Robbie. That's twice I've done that. Grant, I've got you.
You're doing well, Paul.
I don't know why I was indeed. Grant, what were you thinking?
So, selfishly, bringing it back to Falkirk, of course.
Go on, yep.
Scott Bain.
Yes.
Where does he figure in the the goalkeeper lineup in the World Cup. Does he go? Does he play? And what's your thoughts on that?
What do you feel as somebody who sees him every week?
Someone that sees him every week, I think he's been the only goalkeeper we've got really that's playing consistently and consistently well. And I think he deserves his chance in the squad.
I have to agree. I think if you're taking 3 goalkeepers, I think Craig Gordon's definitely one of them. I know he's not playing for Hearts, but he's got the mindset and the mentality just to step in whenever he needed. I would take Angus Gunn, although he's not playing either. And Scott Bain, for me, is the only Scottish goalie that I think can... He's the only one that's playing. Yeah. But Scott Bain's very good with his feet. There's a reason why Celtic signed him all the years ago. He had potential. He just obviously couldn't break in and be that number one. He was for some parts in the Celtic journey, but he's went to Falkirk, and he's just as big a part of Falkirk's success as a Barney Stewart up front. So for me, I think he has to go. Does he play? He's going to run Craig Gordon or Angus Gunn close. Yeah. But I don't think you can take Liam Kelly. I don't think he has played enough games, or I know the other 2 haven't, but the other 2...
We can't take everyone with
no
game
we can't
time.
take everyone, but somebody has to miss out.
Peter, what would you say?
I agree. If Craig Gordon's fit, he plays.
Yep.
Angus Gunn, if he's fit, he goes. I agree Bain should go. I think he will take Kelly, but because he's been loyal with him, and he'll take Kelly even though he's not played. But I think that'd be a big blow for Bain, because I think he deserves that, because he'd taken the chance to leave Celtic. He'd been there probably too long. Sure. Probably too long. But the one thing I wouldn't be concerning myself, and Grant touched on it there, he can play out and he's good with his feet. I'll no concern Stevie, because he's not going to play that way.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? No, but you know what I'm saying? That's why I'm saying. So that may become the selection. Who can kick the ball? Who can hit forwards better?
Yep.
Who's a better kicker? Is it Bain or is it Kelly? And make him down to a simple thing like that. Who's going to be striker he's going to start with? And if it's going to be a target player, who's more accurate with their kicking? Craig Gordon, everything that comes back to Craig will kick it long. There's no doubt of that. He'll not take any chances. Angus is very similar. So I think all these things will be looked at.
I'm either brave or stupid. The biggest man in the house is Grant, and I'm the smallest. I've got your name wrong twice, so I'm really sorry, Grant. I will never do that again. One final break, and then we're back.
Football Show with Scottish Gas.
Thanks to everyone here tonight. We've got another, 10 minutes? It flies in, doesn't it? See, when you are together. Maybe not for the listener at home or wherever you are, but it flies in for us. And I've just discovered that John, who's off to the World Cup, is getting married on June the 19th. And then your honeymoon is going to be?
Our honeymoon's going to be in Florida.
Miami. Wow. So you're off to... Did you have to persuade?
Well, we actually booked Orlando before like the draw came out. And then obviously when Scotland get the announcement, we just thought, forget it. Like, you know, we won't see the World Cup. But then Miami's only, 4.5 hour drive from Orlando. So I said to my missus, look, I know it's a honeymoon, but any chance I could go down to the game. And,
well, you hope she'll be your missus.
She was quite happy with it. Yeah, she's like, yeah, that's fine. Just
come back.
Yeah.
What's her name?
Claire.
Claire. Does she like football?
No.
But she likes who doesn't like going to. I mean, to be at the Brazil, honestly, see before the game, the Brazilians come in huge numbers, men, women, all ages, and they dance and all the rest of it. And the atmosphere with the Scots is brilliant with all that tartan and all the rest. It's a great fusion. You'll look forward to it. Do you think we can go into the second phase of the tournament?
No. Do you know? No. But I actually, do you know, see Brazil, I even said, like, watching Brazil growing up and all the adverts and all the Ronaldinhos, Ronaldos, all that, you know, just seeing the Brazilians, you know, live in action is just, it's probably better than seeing Scotland. So that's what I'm looking forward to the most.
Have you got your speech ready for the wedding?
Not yet.
Do you want to practice it just now? We've got a live audience. We'll maybe do that in the third hour when Peter's staying on to do a quiz with you. He's got a quiz actually, but Robbie, the St Mirren fan, I think you know the answer. Peter, what's your question?
No, I was just saying there was a boy played for St Mirren. I think he played 9 games, am I correct? And he scored 2 goals. I don't know how to say his name, but he's one of their main players, isn't he, for Haiti?
Yeah, so Dukins Nazon played with St Mirren. That was actually the season I think he's best remembered for getting sent off against Dundee United in the playoff game at home. That we ended up going on to win, thankfully. But a while back now, Dukins Nazon, I tidy player, actually. He
Okay.
was quite small, quite aggressive, quite fast. So
Okay.
if Haiti are going to get any chance, then that's probably going to be the main threat.
Good to know. Radio Haiti will be wanting that clip
Yeah,
from
exactly.
James.
Exactly.
Back here in the Gorbals. Right, this is the point in a Thursday where we look at the games coming up. So I'll look round and see what you think. Falkirk Hibs, what do you reckon, Peter? We'll be quite brief if you could.
Believe it or not,
Yep.
I'm going for a draw in that particular
Okay.
match. I'm going to go 1-1, which is very unusual. You know I don't like picking draws,
No.
but I'm going to go 1-1 in that match.
Okay, what do you feel?
Falkirk win.
Falkirk win. I just look a nod. Grant saying yes, Falkirk. Kieran, what do you think?
Well,
Just go for it.
I'll go
Yeah.
2-1 Hibs, but probably 2-0 Falkirk.
Do you honestly think? Yeah, so your head's saying and your heart. Okay, St Mirren against Kilmarnock. So the guys first. Kevin, your old team.
I have to go with
Yeah.
Kilmarnock. Having won last week, I'm going to stick with Kilmarnock. I think if they get 3 points, that could just be enough to keep them out of the playoff position.
You're breaking his heart. Peter, what do you feel?
I went for Kelly to win 2-1.
Robbie,
Yeah, it's win or bust for us, so I'm going to go 2-1 to St Mirren.
2-1 for St Mirren. Mandron maybe to score.
Hopefully.
Yeah. Motherwell against Hearts. So what do you think first, Kevin?
I think it's a super difficult game
Yeah.
for Hearts. I really do.
8 o'clock.
I feel like Motherwell owe Hearts one because they've been 3-0 up,
Mm-hmm.
3-3. They've also had the last game at Tynecastle. Motherwell probably should have been 4 up before Hearts eventually scored 2 goals. So I feel like Motherwell probably owe them one, and depends on how far Bert Askew is doing the contract negotiations with Celtic. That might have a say. But no, I think a 2-2 draw.
Peter.
Hearts 1-0.
Hearts
I just
1-0.
think Hearts will dig in. Hearts will make it really difficult, close the spaces off, and I just think they'll nick it through the likes of Shanklin.
Who's your scorers at Braga? Player of the year. Who knows?
Shanklin, I think.
Guys, what do you feel for that one, Motherwell? Let's go to the Motherwell camp first. Ian?
I think 1-0 to Motherwell just in the 96th minute.
Just just the player, I know. Michael, what do you feel?
I think 3-2 Hearts. Motherwell go 2-0 up again and collapse.
So you think Hearts are going to come and beat you on the night? Johnny, what do you feel? What would you say? We'll get the mic to you. Yep.
2-0 Hearts.
2-0 Hearts. Scorers?
Shanklin for 2.
Right, okay. The double. He'll be your top scorer this season.
I agree with Michael. 3-2
Aye.
Hearts. I think there'll be loads of goals.
Have you got a ticket? Be hard to get
I've got a ticket for that one.
Have you?
The only game
Yeah.
I'm missing is the Celtic game, luckily.
Right, okay. Which, I mean, that's really hard to take, isn't it? The last day of the season.
I think it's only 500 tickets we've got, and the points
Yeah.
you need are like ridiculous. You need like 144 points, and no chance at all.
If Celtic were out of it, Peter, would there be space for more Hearts fans? I'm saying if they're out of it. I don't think they will be out of it, but
No.
if they were, no.
No. That's what it's done at the start of the season, Paul. All these things. And I agree, Hearts should get more tickets, Hibs should get more tickets, but then I watch Celtic Hibs at the weekend.
right.
It's ridiculous.
Celtic, yeah.
It's ridiculous the amount of supporters. The seats
Of
are
course.
empty. And we keep saying that the clubs need money. Ridiculous. But it is what it is, and it'll not change.
Motherwell Hearts, everybody. Who thinks, apart from, so we've heard your predictions from the other teams, who do you think is going to win? Is it going to be Motherwell? Any show of hands for Motherwell? Yeah, 1, 2, 3, 4. Hearts. Right, so 2. So Grant and Scott. So the Falkirk and the Rangers fan think it's going to be the Well. We'll find out what's going to happen. And Celtic Rangers. So where am I going to go? Scott, we've not heard from you for a wee while. What are you thinking for this? What would you do? Your lineup? I don't need the whole lineup, but
Yeah, I mean, I said earlier the pressure's going to be off us to an extent, but the team have got and the club have got a lot of making up to do for us. So yeah, I'm not sure on the team, but certainly I hope that Theo Romans is back in there. He's certainly a big player for this system of Danny Rules. And Nadiri as well, he's pretty crucial as well. So I'm going to take us to win 2-1.
2-1. Of course, you did it the last game of the season. You know, your last Old Firm game last year, the 3-2 win. Seems a long time ago. Who's your Rangers Player of the Year?
That's a tough one. I mean, Manny Fernandez and Butland were picked, but for me, he's not played many games. But Theo Romans, he looks absolutely brilliant. So I look forward to seeing more of him next season.
Yeah.
Hopefully in a more functional and winning team.
The 2-1 Rangers, you reckon, in the Old Firm Derby or the Glasgow Derby, John? What do you think? I don't care what it's called, but it should be the greatest derby in the world. What do you think?
I think Celtic will win, and I think Celtic will win maybe comfortably to a surprise. I think this is the time for Celtic to show that they're fighting to be champions. I think it's we've got the players to do it. We just need to see ourselves up the park and getting balls across face more often. It was a refreshing goal we scored against Hibs. Remind me of the old Celtic under Ange Postecoglou. Get balls across face. So it'd be nice to get a good result against Rangers, get the goal difference. But yeah, I fancy Celtic winning maybe 3-1, something along those lines.
They need it for the goal difference. Obviously, they need the points, but the goal difference then, depending what happens. Because if Hearts slip up, and it's a big if, because Hearts have got through those two crucial games. Kevin, what do you think? Celtic Rangers.
I'm going to sway for Celtic purely in the fact that I think Rangers' defence is questionable. Right. Listen, I don't have too many facts and numbers in front of me in terms of it's just going by the naked eye is what I've seen. I think there's a mistake, there's an opportunity in Ziga and Fernandes. So I'm going to sway for Celtic. I think maybe 2-0. And on the goal difference thing, I wouldn't be too overly worried about that. There's still 3 games, and you're talking just like a 1-0 win for Celtic and a 1-0 defeat for Motherwell, for Rangers at for Hearts at Motherwell.
Sure. 2 goals.
That is 2 goals.
That's
and,
right.
You know what I mean? Celtic's just looking for. So I wouldn't be too worried about that yet.
Peter, what do you reckon?
I never give a score on this one, Paul, because I know how difficult they are. I was involved in them so often. But it's a must-win for Celtic. If Celtic don't win against Rangers, it's Hearts' title for me.
I'm seeing what he's written down. He hasn't written down a scoreline.
No, I never do, Paul, because I play in so many when you're into them as hot favourites, playing really well and get turned over and vice versa. So I never give a result on that. It's very difficult to pick.
No, I understand.
And Rangers will be desperate. Sure. If they're not going to win it, they'll be desperate to stop Celtic winning it.
So who's smiling at the end then? Danny Rohl or Martin O'Neill?
Oh, hopefully Martin O'Neill.
And what do you think? Who do you think it will be? Come on, you've been there. You've won the title with Celtic.
I just think it's so difficult, Paul. See, if Celtic had a goal scorer, I'd say Celtic. If an out-and-out goal scorer, you're dependent on Nygren, and now people are saying he shouldn't be playing, but I think you've got to play him because he is the biggest threat. Believe it or not, people talking about Maeda. Nygren's your biggest threat.
But Maeda scored 33 goals last season, seems to be back. What an end to the season it's going to be. We've run out of time. I want to thank everyone: Dale, Johnny, John, Scott, Robbie, Grant, Ian, Kieran. We've also got James, Jeff, Roisin, Lauren, Taylor, Rory as well, and Rochelle. Thank you so much to everyone. Guys, really enjoyed it. Hope the listeners did too. Enjoy the World Cup if we don't see you before then. Good luck in the next couple of weeks, everybody. Hope you get what you're looking for. Thank you so much. We're back tomorrow night with Barry and Darren. We'll be live at 5.